Hi guys, welcome. Welcome everyone. I will wait a couple minutes for everyone to join us and then we'll start. And this is what we're painting today. But again, I'll give you all a couple minutes to get here to join us and then we'll start. So just make sure you have all your art supplies ready to go. And we'll start in a tiny little second. Okay, we have quite a few people here. That is good, guys. Maybe one more minute. Let's wait for those who can find us or struggling to find us, and then we'll start. Literally one more minute, and we will be starting, guys. Okay, we have a lot of you here, so that's awesome. That means we can start. My name is Vera. I will be your instructor for today, and I will be showing you how to paint this beautiful painting with a flamingo and a water and colorful tropical flowers and a waterfalls. Basically, this one has everything that you can think of. And if you guys would like to add something to this painting, go for it. You can modify it absolutely however you want to modify it. You don't have to follow my instructions precisely. You can add your own things. You can change colors. You can change pretty much anything that you want. You can add more birds, less birds. You can have more than one flamingo. It doesn't have to be just one. And guys, another thing that I want to mention right away is that you can pause this video. Actually, you can rewind this video. And if you would like to watch it later, what you could do is you could wait until this uploads, the live video is done, and then you can go back to it and you can pause it. This is going to be recorded and it's going to stay on our page for a couple of weeks. So if you would like to rewatch it later, that's no problem. Or if you prefer paint from recording versus painting from a live video like this one, that's totally fine. Just wait until this event is done and then go back and work from the recording, because that way you can pause it and resume it whenever you want to. Now, another thing, I don't see the chat here for some reason, so I'm going to pull you guys up on my phone, and I will be checking chat from my phone. That way, if anyone has any questions, I will be able to respond to all your questions to the best of my ability. So let me quickly pull this on my phone. Because yeah, for some reason, we usually are able to see the chat as we do the live videos, but This is the second time that Facebook doesn't show me chat for some reason. I don't know. It's doing this weird glitchy things. But that's okay. I can see your messages on my phone. Once that uploads, it's not there yet, but hopefully soon. Now, let's start by making sure we have everything that we need for today. First of all, you're going to need a canvas. I am using this wonderful 16 by 20 inch canvas. It's fairly big, as you can see, so you guys are free to use either the same size, or you can definitely go with a smaller size. It doesn't have to be that big. Or if you would like to use paper, that's totally fine. Even a wood board, it's totally fine too. Whatever you have, whatever works for you, you're free to use that. Now, next thing we're gonna need is some sort of palette to mix. I have actually a couple. I have this one and I have this one. So just grab a few, maybe plates or cardboard, something for you to mix your paint on. I am going to be using primary colors, which is yellow, red, blue, black, and white. And I will be mixing them into all shades of this. But if you guys have pre-mixed paints, you can use teals, you can use orangey, peachy, corally colors, you can use literally any color that you can find for the flowers. You will definitely need some green, and I will be using some brown as well. So if you have pre-mixed colors, even better, you can use those. If not, no problem at all. You can mix together from primaries. I will show you how to do that. Now, next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need a cloth or a paper towel. In my case, I have this wonderful reusable fabric cloth that I will be using. If you guys don't have a fabric cloth, that's no problem at all. You can use paper towel, napkin, toilet paper, whatever you have, it's all good. And we're gonna need some water. Water is important. Some water right here. And of course, we're gonna need brushes. I will be using 3 different brushes. I'm gonna be using large, medium, and small. In my case, my large and my medium are square, and my small is pointy. But again, you guys use whichever shapes or brushes that you have or would like to use. No problem, doesn't have to be this particular shapes. As long as you have a couple sizes, you're all good. Now, my phone, for some reason, is not loading chat either, which is really weird, but that's okay. So guys, just to let you know, if you're asking me something right now, I don't see your messages. So if I'm not responding, that's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I cannot see chat right now. Hopefully, I can make it work on my phone and just open chat on my phone once it loads and see your messages that way. But until then, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to respond to you for simple reason that I can't see your messages. Now, let's go through the breakdown here before we move on to the painting. Dun, 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 dun. What are we going to start with? We're going to start with sky. Very first thing, we're going to start with blue and white, and we will add a little bit of sky there. After we have our sky, we're going to move on to our water. And we're going to add blue, some teal, no pinks yet. Pinks will be added later. And then we will blend it into black right here, and we will add a black base for all the elements right here. After we have that base, we're going to add more black. So these 2 mountains on the side are actually going to be black at first. And then other colors are going to be added to it later on top. So we will do that. We're going to add blues, blues, black, 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 and black grass. Once we have this, then we're going to start adding shades onto our sky and to our water. As you noticed, we have some beautiful peachy coral colors on our water and on our sky, and maybe a little bit of purple or purple-ish color. So we will add a little bit of that here and there. After that, this should be getting drier. So we're going to go on to our rocks, and we will add this beigey, browny colors, and we'll create a rock texture. After we have that, we will be adding a little bit of green under here and creating this beautiful greenery on top and our trees on a background. After that, we will go on and doing here on a first layer on the areas that are closer to us, this beautiful greenery. And after that, we'll do our waterfalls. Now everything will have to be dry before we move to waterfalls, because if you start doing waterfalls and everything is still wet, they're going to smudge. They're not going to be white. They're going to be different color, and we do want them very bright white. So we're going to let it all dry, and then we'll do waterfalls. After that, we will add some white highlights on the water, here, there, on our rocks, a lot of different places. And then we'll finish up with Flamingo and whole bunch of different flowers on this grassy area. Does this sound good, guys? I hope so. I hope it does. And as I mentioned, it's a lot of fun. You can change a lot of things on this painting. It's one of those paintings that you can change a lot of things around. So, very first thing we're going to need is we're going to grab our canvas. I'm going to switch my canvases, so take a good look before I put this one away. And grab my white canvas. Dun, 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 dun. So now, I'm going to put this one away, and I will put this one here. And you're going to need to use two different colors right now. So put on your plate black and blue. Those are the only colors you need for right now. Don't use them yet. Don't mix paint. Don't touch it with your brush. Just put these two colors on your palette, white and blue, and that's it. Nothing else. You don't need anything else for right now. I have blue here. Let me add some white. Let me see if I can make this chat work. All right, it downloaded, uploaded on my phone. So now I can see the chat. Yay. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, guys. Awesome. I see you on my phone. Woohoo. So now, before we start painting, hopefully you have two colors on your plate already, white and blue. So before we start actually using them, you will grab either the biggest brush that you have, or you're going to grab a cloth. You'll dip it in the water, and you will wash the whole canvas. So we need a wet canvas. So wet it down, either with a brush or with a cloth. I'm going to use cloth just because I find that it's faster and easier. So I'm going to do that. If you don't have a cloth, no problem. You can definitely do this with a large brush. Ta-da! Wet the whole thing. Perfect. My canvas is nice and wet. So now I can move on to the actual paint. So I'm going to grab my biggest brush, the biggest brush that I have. I'll dip it in the water, and I will grab a little bit of white and mix it with a touch of blue. So a little bit of white, taking a touch of white, putting it on a side, and a touch of blue. Mixing it up. Perfect. You see light blue? That's what I'm going to use right now. Wonderfully light blue. And I'm going to go somewhere right here. So just about, I would say 1/3 from the top of your canvas. And I'm going to start adding brush strokes. This is one of those not blended kind of paintings. At least the sky. So I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of brush strokes here. And notice every time when I run out of paint, I am dipping my brush in the water. So before I refill my brush with paint, every time whenever I run out of paint, I go to my jar with water and I'm dipping my brush in the water first, and then I'm refilling my brush with paint. And if you guys want to take extra minute to make it look super awesome, feel free to paint the edges of your canvas as well. That is what I am doing here. I am definitely painting my edges. I like the look of it. So I have that painted. Now, I'm gonna wash off my brush. Now the sky steps have to be done really fast. So guys, if you feel like I'm going too fast, just bear with me. I will give you time to catch up as soon as we finish the sky. It's best to do this while your paint is still wet. Once it dries, it's much harder to do it. So we're gonna do every color right away until we finish the sky fully. And then we can have a couple of minutes of rest and wait for everyone to catch up. So now I will wash off my brush right away, and I will take some straight white on my brush. So some straight white. And with this straight white, I'm going to start adding more brush strokes the same way that I did with light blue. So in between, you see I have some white spots here, visible white canvas. I'm going to aim to cover those spots. Now I have light blue and I have white, and you see they're not blended. They're sort of blended, but it's not a perfect blending. They're brushstrokey, and that's exactly the way I want it. I wanted brushstrokey. So this is all intentional. I'm not going to blend it to perfection. That's not my goal here. And now I will make slightly darker blue. So do you remember the blue that we used first? We're going to make something that's a bit darker than that. And how are you going to do it? If you still have a little bit of that blue left, just add a bit more primary blue to it and it's going to get darker. If not, we can mix a whole new color. And again, it's just white and blue, but this time add a bit more primary blue. So this is my first blue. I'm going to take a bit more primary blue, mix it in, and that's going to be my darker blue. It doesn't have to be dark. It just has to be darker than the first one. And with this one, I'm going to continue adding brushstroke, but now I'm going to start from my top. So I'm going to cover up pretty solid this very top line. And then, you see I have a pretty solid line on top. It's not straight, but it's solid. Now, I'm going to continue going down, brushstroking it into this wonderful combination of colors. Now, this should stay wet. It's much easier to brushstroke it in and make it look natural versus patchy if it's still wet. So I'm just going to continue bringing those brushstrokes down. In my case, this is still super wet, so it's good because it's going to blend a little, and that's exactly what I want. Otherwise, guys, keep dipping your brush in the water. You don't want to use dry brush for this step. You want to have your brush nice and wet. Not too wet so it doesn't drip, but wet enough for you to spread paint properly. So again, what I would recommend is every time when you run out of paint on your brush, before you dip your brush in paint, dip it in water first. That way, your brush always going to stay nice and wet enough for you to spread paint, but it's not going to be too wet so it doesn't drip down. Because once you dip it in the water, then you dip it in paint, it's going to get rid of that excess water into your paint. And it's not going to drip down when it comes. Now I have my top. It's nice and finished. I'm not adding anything else for right now to my top. But what I'm going to do, what I haven't done yet, is with that blue, darker blue that I just added, I'm going to go onto the edges and the top. I haven't done my edges yet. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, wonderful. My top is done. I'm not adding anything else here. So I will give you guys a couple minutes to do this. And whenever you have it, let me know in chat. Just say good to go or give me thumbs up. That way I would know that you're ready and I will show you our next steps. And in the meantime, I'm just going to check chat and see if anyone had any questions. Hi Diane, yes, it will be available. The video will stay up on our Facebook for a couple weeks. And we started uploading our older videos. You know guys how we keep our videos on Facebook for a couple weeks and then we delete them to make space for new videos? What we started doing recently is we started uploading all the older videos onto our YouTube. That way, even though they're gone from Facebook, they're not gone forever. You can still go on YouTube and see older videos there, those that have been removed from Facebook. So if you feel like you can't find certain video on Facebook, check out YouTube. It might be there because that's what we're going to start doing. We don't have very old videos there right now, but we will try to upload them as well. But yes, going forward, we will be uploading them. Okay, I see a couple of people are ready. That is good. Awesome, 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 guys. Guys, for those of you who are just joining us now and you already see that we have done the sky, what you could do, just rewind the video. Facebook should give you ability to rewind the video and watch from the beginning. You could do that or you can just wing it. It's easy step. It only has two colors, blue and white. So either wing it and continue going along with us live or rewind this video from the beginning and then start from the beginning. If you start from the beginning and you rewind, that's no problem, but keep in mind you're not going to be able to ask questions in a real time because I will be 20 minutes-ish ahead of you on a painting. So your question, I wouldn't understand which part are you referring to of the painting, but it is always an option because that way you can rewind every time when you want to rewatch something, you can just rewind and rewatch it. So it is a good option to have for sure. Yeah, and you guys can use it if you would like. What is the name of YouTube channel? Artist Palette Durham region. And you guys can see we have posts on our page. Just scroll down and it has the link to YouTube as well. So just click on that link. Yay. And you'll see it. Now there is no blending here. This is not blending. This is just brush strokes. Whole bunch of brush strokes. Now we're going to move on to our water. Do you guys see this beautiful water? What we're going to do, we're going to start with our light blues, and we're going to go up with our light blues, and after that we're going to switch to teals, and we will add some teal right here as well. So what you will do right now, you're going to grab your brush, the big brush. You can either have it clean or you can have it in light blue, that's totally fine, or in white. So I have my somewhat clean, sort of clean. And I'm going to start with a base of white. Again, I'm going to scoop some white on the side. And I'll add it to that place where I mix my blues. And then I'm going to take just a tiny, tiny smidge of white. And blue. And I'll add it in there and I'll make my light blue again. So not this blue, not the one we used here. I want to use lighter blue. Remember the first blue that we used? Something similar to that. Doesn't have to be precisely that color. Or if you personally prefer teal and you have light premixed teal, you could do that as well. Doesn't have to be that. It's not crucially important how light is your blue for that particular step. My case, pretty light. Now, the technique for the bottom is a little different. For the bottom, we're going to go with horizontal brush strokes. Here we did very brush strokey, right? They were shorter brush strokes that didn't go all the way, but the bottom, they will be going all the way. So I'm going to start adding brush strokes. see just horizontal brush strokes. As you notice, I'm not going literally from end to end. And the reason is I will have big rock right here. So it's not necessary for me to go all the way to the end here. Here, it's probably best if you go all the way to the end. But if you don't, that's okay too. You can always cover that up with grass or a big rock, whichever works. But if you can do from side to side, that would be best. That way you don't have to worry about having some white canvas left. So this is my first color here. Sorry guys that you're feeling that it's blurry. I am watching from my phone as well. That's not connected. I'm watching as a viewer, not as editor, and I can see everything perfectly fine. So I would just say maybe, you know that circly thing on top of the page, update the page. So just click on that. You can also watch from recording. Sometimes it happens when your internet is not the best. It would show it as blurry, but once it loads properly or internet connection picks up, it becomes super clear. So this is my first color. For my second color, I'm just gonna add a touch more primary blue to my first color. And if you run out of paint and you need to make more, make more. So for me, I'm almost run out, so I'm gonna start with a base of white again. I'm gonna scoop some white and I'll add a bit more blue, but this time I want it slightly darker. Not very dark, but slightly darker than my first color. So let's see. So I mix it. I'm gonna try it and see if that's a good color. No, that's too close. Let's make it darker. That is good. So with this color that is slightly darker, as you can see the difference, I'm going to continue going here. I'll add next line here, but I will also blend it right away. So as soon as you edit line, start blending. It doesn't have to be perfect blending. It can be quite brush strokey. Just make sure it looks like there's a good transition between two colors. Brush strokes are fine. Don't be afraid of them. If you see brush strokes, that's not a problem. What you don't want to have is two colors that looks like stripes of colored paper that you cut out and stuck on. There needs to be some sort of nice transition between your two colors. You see, in my case, it's a brush strokey transition, and I'm intentionally going for it because it's water. I want it brush strokey in a horizontal brush strokes. I want that. I want it to look like it's reflecting something. What colors would I use if I was making this as a nighttime scene? Probably darker blues. Blue is just definitely much darker than that. Okay guys, so now I'm going to move on to my next color for the background, for the bottom, for the water, and that's the prettiest color out there. It's going to be teal. So if you have pre-mixed teal, good for you, you can use that. In my case, I don't, so I'm going to mix it, and I will just grab a touch more of dark blue first, and I'll let it on here because I want my color darker. And then I'm going to start adding yellow, tiny touch by tiny touch. This is very important. If you add too much yellow, it's going to turn green. You don't want that. There's no rescuing for it. You will need to mix new color. So start little by little. It's good if you don't add enough because you can always add more. If you add too much, that's a problem. So I'm going to grab just a tiny touch of yellow and mix it in and see if it turned teal or not. If it didn't turn teal, that's okay. Just going to add another touch of teal, yellow. So this is turning to pretty good. I think I'm going to need another touch of yellow, but it is going well. Oh yes, beautiful. Okay, so I did another touch of yellow and it turned nice teal. So I'm going to work with this color. And if I want to switch it later, I can switch it too. So I'm going to use my brush in the water. Then I'm going to take my teal and I will add it right above here. So I'm going to cover this area above, and then as soon as I brought my teal to my blue, I'm going to start merging them. So using my brush stroke, the top edge of my brush, I'm going to continue adding lines above my blues. I will overlap my blues with teal, and I will continue brush stroking going down. The only difference now, I'm using my brush like this. You see? That makes smaller lines. Makes finer lines. And that's exactly what I want. I want finer lines there. Let's see. Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. So I am quite happy with this. As you can see, it has blues, it has teals, just a beautiful combination of colors. And there's actually one more blue that we're going to be adding, and we're going to add it almost right away as well. And then we will be done with blues. Okay, so our final blue. What are we going to do? That base of teal that you just used, you're going to add a touch of dark blue to it. So you're going to grab a touch more of primary blue. You will add it to the base of your nice teal that you just used, and you will see it's going to get darker. But it's still going to be sort of teal-ish. And with that, we will add just a little bit right on top here. And again, you do want to blend it into your teal. You don't want to leave it as a stripe of different color. You definitely want to blend it. So just continue bringing brush strokes down over your teal, overlap your teal a little. And that is it. No more blues. But there's another color that we need to blend right away as well. I know, guys, it's a lot of blending, but it will pay off. I promise. It's going to look super gorgeous in the end. So after this, as soon as you have this, you're going to wash your brush and you will grab straight black. I know that's scary color, so you shouldn't have it on your palette yet. Now is the time. As soon as you have this, put black on your palette. And as soon as you have it, you're going to grab a brush full of black. And so guys, look here for a second. This is very important. So whatever you're doing, just put your brushes aside for a second and look here. You're going to grab a brush full of black. And you're going to go first right above your blue. So right above it. You could do all the way from edge to edge. You can do not all the way. Either one is fine. So do you see? I have a line right on top. Now for this to work easier, your bottom should be wet. If your bottom is wet, it's going to be super easy blending. If your bottom is dry, it's still doable. It's just harder. So now I will blend it just a touch. So not washing my brush, with whatever I have left on my brush, which is not a lot. Looks like it is some black, but it's almost dry brush, almost empty brush as well. I'm going to go right over this edge where two colors connect. You see I'm putting half brush on the top side, half brush on the bottom. And I will add a few brush strokes like this. Do you see? It starts blending. It gets rid of that in-between line. This is not, you don't have to perfectly blend it into blue. You just have to get rid of that initial line. Now, my initial line is not there anymore. It's much smoother. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch positioning of my brush. If I used my brush like this before, now I'm going to switch to use like this. And I will add a couple more lines going down. Not too far. You don't want to overdo this. Very important. Black should only be very short blending. You don't want to bring your black too far. So just a couple lines here, and that is it. We can worry about the top later. We don't care about it right now. We just need to blend this before our paint dries because it's easier while it's wet. So I have it. I'm done. I'm going to put my brush aside. I'm not going to stress out about it. If you don't have brush like mine, and your brush doesn't give you this fine line, because you see my brush gives pretty fine lines, switch to smaller brush. It doesn't have to be a big brush. You can use the tiniest brush ever to do this if that brush works better for you. Whichever brush can give you this effect, use that one. You know your brush is best, you know what you have, you know what you can use. So guys, I will give everyone a couple minutes to do this. And then we'll move. And as always, whenever you have it, let me know in chat that you are ready, and then I'll show you next steps. And top, this one, you don't blend. Just leave it for now. We will add more black there. You only worry about the bottom blending right now. Top, you don't care for. Okay, a couple minutes, everyone. And let me know once you have it. Okay, I see some people are ready. That is great, guys. Awesome. Okay, I see more ready. That is great, guys. Awesome job. One more second, guys. Okay, I see lots and lots of ready, so I think we can safely move on to the next step. What are we going to do right now is we're going to go on to, do you see this island right here and there's trees? That's what we're going to do. We're going to go on to this area and we'll put the first layer of our black. So again, you're going to need some black and a large brush. That's all you need here. So we're going to go right here. Just with black and large brush, nothing crazy. Continue adding a bit more black. Now you see there's nice large strip of black here. It's exactly what you want to have. And once you have that, we're going to start fluffing up the top of this edge. You can do that with any brush that you have. If you have large brush, good, you can do that with large brush. But ideally what you want to use, I'm not going to be using this actually, just because I don't think it's fair for me to use that brush. It's not a very common brush. Not everyone has it. So I'm not going to be using it, but I will show you just in case you do have that brush, because that brush is perfect for this. Fan brush. Fan brush is absolutely perfect for next step. So I'm going to be showing you it with just a large square brush, but if you have a fan brush, use that even better. Or if you have maybe not a square brush, but large brush with a rounded top, that is better as well. So I'm going to grab this black and I'm going to start fluffing up with the top here. So starting on my line, using my brush really, really flat. Do you see? I'm adding fluffs. Now those are pretty solid and pretty blobby and they don't look pretty, but that's okay. We're not done with them yet, so we're going to continue fluffing it up. So fluffy, 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 fluffy. And now we're going to start making it less linear. Do you see how right now we continue making it super linear? It's like a one line. Now we're going to start adding some lines bigger, some areas smaller. We're going to mess it up. We want to make it look like nature, like trees. They're at the back. So don't refill your brush and you will see. That's what's going to give it very light, transparent texture. Just don't refill your brush. Very lightly continue dabbing. If you feel like you completely run out of paint on your brush, pick up a bit more of this wet paint right here and then continue spreading it up. This is what I'm going to be doing here. Do you see? It's not even. That's what we want. We don't want the evenness. We don't want the straightness. We want it not straight and not even. That's the goal here. Ta-da! You see, it looks like trees at the back. That's what you want. And in my case, it turned out a bit similar. It looks like four those things, but you don't want it similar. You want it as random as you can get it. And guys, I know it's a big step, so I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to do this. No rush at all. Let me bring this closer, as close as I can get to you. Because again, I know it's a big step. Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you a couple minutes. Once you have it, give me a thumbs up. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go refill my tea real quick. I will be back. Okay, guys, I am back and my tea is full, as it should be, because full tea is the best tea. Half tea is no good. Half finished tea is not a good tea. So I think we can move. How does everyone feel about it? Are we all ready, or do we all need a couple of minutes? Ready, yes, awesome. I see lots of ready. That is great, guys. Awesome. So if we're all ready, we're gonna continue and we're gonna move on to our sides here. So there are two cliffs, rocks, hills, whatever you wanna call them, on a side, one here, one here. This one is big. It goes not all the way to the top, but almost to the top and to the bottom. And this one is much smaller. So, yeah, we're gonna put a base for them. And the base is gonna be black. Just grab the big brush again, some black paint, and that's all you need here, nothing else. Now I'm gonna start with this big one, and I will put something that looks like a hill from right here, let me show you, all the way to the bottom. And don't make it straight. That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to have a straight line. Try to give it some sort of shape. Remember, this is a rock. And then feel free to color it in right away. And I will add one more onto the other side as well. Now this one is going to be a bit smaller, so it's going to start a bit lower. Actually, this one I'm going to bring a bit higher. Yeah, this one is going to start a bit lower, probably right here. And it's not going to go as low as well. It's going to end somewhere around here. But the rest is the same. Don't make it straight. Make it look like a rock, a nice big solid rock. And once you have it, color it in. And if you guys are doing your sides, don't forget about your sides. Even if you want to finish all this black on your sides as well. Ta-da! This is what it looks like for me. Okay. My brush and water for now. I know it's a lot of black and it looks really weird right now, but I promise you guys it's gonna get there. It will look so much better once we're done. You're not gonna see that much black. The black is just the base. trust me. And once you guys have it, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in chat that you are done, and I will show you next steps. And next steps we're gonna do in black as well, but we will switch the brush potentially. So I'll just wait a couple more minutes for you guys to finish, and once you're ready, I'll show you the next steps. Ready, yes, I see a couple ready. That is good. Oh, thank you. Okay guys, so it looks like we have a couple people ready, which is awesome. For those of us who are not ready, no problem guys, there will be a recording. If you want us to wait for you as well, that's no problem. Just let us know, we'll wait a couple more minutes. No rush at all, but I have a good feeling that most of us are done, so we're gonna continue. We'll add just a couple more things with black. Now for next step in black, you can even use the same brush, just turn it around. Technically what I could use for next step is the top edge of my black brush or my large brush with the black paint. However, if your brush doesn't do, the top edge doesn't do this nice small brush strokes, switch the brush. You might want to use medium brush and the top edge of medium brush, or a small brush, whichever brush can give you this, that's the brush you're going to use. And let me show you what we will do with it so you guys can choose brush. We're going to do our grass, and we're going to do just the base for our grass. And we're not going to go as high as we're actually going to go with our green grass later on. Right now, we're just interested mostly in a base for this grass. And what you will do, you will start flicking from the bottom up. And we'll add a bit of grass here on an angle, and then a bit of grass here on an angle as well. So let me show you. I'm going to be using the top edge of my brush. I will do it like this. And guys, you don't have to go too high up here because we're going to add the green, so you can go higher with green. You just need a base. So you just need to have a bit of it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, except it's going to go a little bit this way. As I mentioned, this is just the base for my grass. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to see very much of it in the end. You may see a couple flicks, but most of it you're going to cover up with other colors. So as long as you have it as a base, you're all good. You don't need to be perfect in this grass. And once you guys have that, wash off your large brushes right away and put them aside. We're not going to use them for a little while. Okay, how's it going, guys? Who is ready, who is not? Let me know. Whenever you have it, there you have all of this, let me know in chat, and then I'll show you next steps. Okay, I see ready. That is good. I'll wait a couple more minutes for a few more people to be ready, and then we'll move to next steps. But guys, once you have it, wash off your large brush really well. You don't want to have any black paint dry on it because we're not going to be using any more black paint. That is it, or at least for now. Maybe we'll use some later, but not on a big brush and not yet. So make sure you wash it really well. Do I keep my brush in the water while painting? Usually not, at least right now not. I usually try to wash it off and put it away. Sometimes I would keep it in water, but only if I'm trying to finish something really fast and I don't have time to wash it and put it aside. But I don't have a habit of keeping it in the water. And it's good to, if you have ability to just wash it off and put it aside, because two reasons. Reason number one, you can just forget your brush in the water and then it's ruined. Leaving brush in dirty water ruins your brush. Reason number two, certain brushes are not good to leave in the water in the first place because they can bend, especially small or pointy brushes. When you leave them in the water, they bend like that, and that ruins your brush as well. For large brushes, I don't think it matters if it's in the water for 5-10 minutes or for an hour. It's not going to ruin your brush. But again, it's good to build yourself healthy habits of washing brushes and putting them aside right away. But again, totally up to you. If you're in a rush, no problem. But make sure to wash it off and put it aside once you're done and get a chance to do that. Okay, I'll wait for a couple more people to let us know that they are ready. And once I get a few more thumbs up, I'll show you guys next steps. Okay, guys, so I am going to start moving to the next step. If you feel like, oh, nope, falling behind, just let me know. I'll slow down. That's no problem at all. We're not rushing anywhere. But also keep in mind you can rewind this video and rewatch certain areas, and it will be posted on our Facebook page if you'd like to go back to it at some point. If you can't finish today. So now we're done with black. We're going to let all this black areas dry because we cannot work on them until they are dry. But there's something we can do while they are drying. And that something is we can add our nice peachy, corally pinks and any other shades of pink that you would like. So my light is not the best for some reason, but actually it is super, super bright pink right here and right here. So guys, aim for that. Don't aim to what you can see. For some reason, it looks a bit dimmer today. And I think it's just because I switched the light. But really, it's really, really bright. So we're going to add two different shades. In my case, I'm going to add the first one that's more like a peachy coral color. And second one that's more like a pinky purple color. So that's the two colors that I will be adding. You are free to add any two shades of pink that you would like. That two shades of pink that will look best. Totally up to you. If you have a great pre-mixed peach color, or pink color, even like purple, go for it. You don't have to mix it, just grab what you have. It doesn't have to match my color perfectly. It's totally fine if it doesn't. But if you don't and you want to mix with me, no problem. We can mix it together. And I will be using my medium brush now. So I'm going to grab my medium brush. This is my medium brush. And I will start by mixing my pinker color. So the one that looks more like a pinky with a maybe colder undertone. So what I will do, I'm going to grab my brush, dip it in a water. After that, I'm going to take my primary red. My red though is more like magenta. It calls primary red, it is what it is, but it doesn't have any yellow premix to it. It's more like a very, very saturated, concentrated pink. So if you have more like a magenta color or dark pink, you can use that as well, and it will look super cool, better than just red. So grab a bit of that color, and then I'm going to grab some white, just a little bit. Mix it in. I think more white. More white. Okay, that's a good hot pink color. And now I'm going to add a tiny, tiny smidge of blue to it. Almost the tiniest smidge of blue. As you can see, just the little dot. And what that will do, that will make it colder, my color. And that's exactly what I want. It will purple it up for me a touch. So this is my pink. And again, guys, my lighting today doesn't make it look bright, but it is pretty bright. So don't be afraid to go a bit too bright here versus dim. And what are we going to do with it? We can add a few brush strokes on the sky and a few brush strokes on the water. I personally am going to start with water. And I will go right here and using the top edge of my brush, I'm going to start adding brush strokes. You can have more or less brush strokes. It's totally up to you how much of them you have. As you can see, they're horizontal. And they're fairly small. Okay, that's good for me. I'm happy with this amount. The rest I'm going to add in my peachier color. Now I'm going to go on top, and on top I'm going to use slightly different technique. So for the top one, I'm going to have less paint on my brush, and I'm going to try to have it a bit more transparent, and I will use wider brush strokes. So instead of using my brush like this and using the top edge of my brush, I'm going to use my brush like this to have wider brush strokes. And I will add just a few. I'll add right here. You see, very lightly. I'm just very lightly scraping the surface of canvas. I'm not pushing on my brush at all. That's how I get this transparency effect. So just a few, and again, don't overdo this because we still have one more thing to go. So you don't need too much of this color. And if you would like to add some really transparent spots, that would look super cool as well. So feel free to do that. As you can see, I have some really transparent area here, and how it happened, just less paint on a brush and light touch, very, very light touch. You almost like scraping with a dry brush. So it just goes right on top of your canvas, but it doesn't go into your canvas. And I'll give you guys a minute to do this, and then we'll switch to our second color. So in between, wash off your brush really well. Okay guys, and after that, I'm going to move on to my second color. Second color I have to mix on a completely different spot. I cannot use this first color as a base because this first color has blue mixed into it. For the second color, it cannot have any blue mixed into it. So hopefully you washed your brushes really well in between the colors. And now I'm going to start mixing my second one. And again, you're going to start by mixing white and pink. So just a bit of white, just a bit of pink, mix them up. This one I'm going to try to make a little bit lighter than my previous one. So I'm just going to start by mixing pink and, so my primary red and my white to make pink. And now once I have this nice light pink, I'm going to add a touch of yellow to it. Not a lot, you don't want to turn it into orange, but you want to add that warmer shade to it. And if you want it a bit more saturated, you can. I will try this color and see if I like it. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful color. But if you wanted to go a bit darker with a bit more saturated paint, what I would say you should do, just grab a touch more red and a touch more yellow and add it here, and it will make it a bit darker, and that will look really good too. But I'm quite happy with this color. I don't want to change it for now. I think I'm going to stick with it. And I will start by adding a couple clouds, again, very, very lightly. And you could totally overlap the existing clouds. And after that, we're going to go on to the bottom. And on the bottom, you're going to add them using the top edge of your brush, if you're using the same brush as me, or just smaller brush is fine. I'll let them right here. So remember how we did those? The same way I will do in this color. You know, guys, this looks pretty grim right now because of all this black, but in the end, we're not going to see it. We're going to cover it up. So I have my pinks. I might add a bit more of this one here. Yes, I'm happy with this. No more pink for me. This is good. So I'm going to let it be. And I will give you guys a couple minutes to do this. And after this, we'll go on to our black colors. And we'll start adding layers onto our black. But for that, your black, all this needs to be dry. Do you see? I'm touching it. There's no black. Well, this black was on my hand before. It didn't come up from the painting. This is all super dry. The only couple wet spots that I have is the edge right here. And I can see it. It glares. You can always see the spots that are wet. Do you see? So don't touch those. Don't smudge those. They're going to mess up your paint if you do. So that edge I'm not going to touch, and there's a spot right here that I'm not going to touch, but the rest of it is pretty dry, so I can continue going in it. Now another thing you could do, if you feel like you have a couple places that are really, really wet, and you would like to start going onto your black, maybe grab a paper towel. I don't have paper towel on hand. I have this cloth, so I'm going to use a cloth, but paper towel is even better for this. And whichever blobs you have, if they're not drying properly because they're too thick, just do this. Just dab them up with your paper towel to get rid of those extra thick blobs so your paint dries a bit more even, and it gives you the ability to start working on your background sooner. Or avoid them, whichever works. If it's just on the edge, you can just avoid it. Should be simple. If not, smudge it with a paper towel. Okay guys, I'm ready to move to my black, but I want to see if you are ready. So let me know in chat whether you're good to go or not. I can totally give you a couple minutes. There's no rush at all. We are definitely on schedule here. We're not behind right now. We're totally perfectly on schedule. So I'll give you a couple minutes, and once I see a few people saying they're ready, then we'll move to next step. Okay, I see first ready. Yes. Awesome. I'll wait a couple of minutes. I want to see a few more readies before we move. Anyone else ready? Okay, guys. So I don't see anyone saying that they need a couple minutes. So then I'm gonna start showing you next steps. If you feel like you would like to paint along with us and you're a little bit behind and you want us to wait for you, no problem at all. Just let us know, we'll wait for you. Absolutely no problem. But I did see a few people that are ready and I didn't see anyone saying that they're falling behind, so I will show you next steps. For next steps, I'm gonna mention this again. Make sure your black is dry. If it's not dry, don't do this. If there are just a few spots that are not dry, either avoid them or smudge them, get rid of them. And if it's completely wet, that's okay. Just hang out with us, watch what we do, and then whenever your black dries up, join us and paint. This video will be up so you can go back to it, or you can even rewind while we are live and rewatch certain areas, or scroll back and see what happened 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. Whatever works for you guys. Okay, so there are a lot that we're going to be adding here. It's not just a couple things, it's a lot of things. You see all this greenery, and there are going to be two different shades of green is going to go on top of the black. All those rock colors are going to go on top of the black as well. So what are we going to start with? We're going to start with this beigey rock color. For those of you who have pre-mixed paints, if you have pre-mixed maybe sand color, best. You can just use it straight from the tube. You don't have to mix anything. If you don't have pre-mixed sand color, but you have pre-mixed brown, that's good as well. You can mix that with white and you will get the right color. For those of us who are mixing from primaries, no problem at all. Just have a couple colors on your plate. You're gonna need white, you're gonna need yellow, red, and black. So grab those 4 colors. You should still have a little bit of black on your palette. You're only gonna need a tiny touch, if at all. So I would say don't add any more black to your palette. You should have enough. Even if you have a tiny smidge, that's more than enough. But yeah, if you don't have enough yellow, add a bit more yellow, because we only used a smidge so far. And if you don't have a lot of red or pink, add a bit of that, and white. Make sure you have quite a bit of that color. I need to refill my white because I'm almost out here, and I still have enough yellow and red. So I'm not going to be refilling those colors. Just going to grab some white. And you can use either a large brush or medium brush, but I would say it's probably safer bet to use a medium brush here versus a big, large brush. Where's my medium? Oh, here's my medium brush. And I'm going to start by taking a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to scoop some yellow on the side. Then I'm going to take some red, not as much as yellow, and I'll add it into my yellow. Now I'm going to take a smidge, the tiniest smidge of black, and I'll add it there. And it should darken it up. Maybe I should add more black. Okay, so we darken it up. If you feel like your color turned a bit purple, you don't have enough yellow. Just grab a bit more yellow and add in it. If you feel like it turned, oh, poop green, not nice, don't like it, add a bit more red. That means you didn't have enough red. So this is the color that it turned for me. It looks like a nice, light, warm wood color in a way. Or, yeah, it's like light amber brown color. But I will change that. I will mix it with other colors. That's not the color I'll be using. This is just what I mixed as a base. Now I'm going to take a bit of that and I will add white to it. So not a lot, but I do want to make it lighter. Continue adding white until I get to the right color. And I'm going to try it and see, oh no, this is way too orange. Nope, not the right color. You always want to try a spot before you commit to a color, because sometimes it looks good on a plate and then you start adding it on a painting and you realize that it wasn't the right color, or the other way around. Sometimes it looks like, oh, that color will definitely not work, and then you try it and you feel like, no, that actually works, that works fine. So I'm going to adjust my color and I will add, for me it turned out a bit too orange. So I need to tone it down. For me to tone it down, I'm just going to add another smidge of black and a little bit of white. And that will gray it up in a way. And that's exactly what I want. I just want it toned down. That will definitely tone it down for me. And then I will try another smidge of that color and see if I like it now. If I do, I will use it. Oh yeah, it's perfect. If I don't, I'll keep adjusting it. Never commit to color that you don't like. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. Just keep adjusting it until you like it. And again, adjustment looks like if it looks too green, add a touch more red. You just need a touch more red. If it looks too pink or too purple, add a touch more yellow. And if it's too bright, let's say too orangey or too yellow, add a bit more black and white. For this particular step, the dimmer color is okay. The oranger color is not so much, because your cliffs cannot be as orange. If they're a bit on the gray side, that's no problem. Or if they're any shade of sand is perfect. Or light brown is perfect. Just don't make it orange. So Karen, that was yellow, red, white, black. So first you mix a little bit of yellow with a little bit of red, and then you add a touch of black, and it's going to make it into light brown, and then you take a little bit of that and you mix it with white. So basically those 4 colors, and keep adjusting until you get the right shade. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly like mine, as long as it's on a sandy spectrum. As long as it's like a sandy color, any shade of sand, you're good. Or if it looks like light brown, that's good too. Even if it's on a grayer side, that's good. The only thing you don't want is yellow or orange. So as long as it's not orangey or yellowy, you're good. Or like a bright yellow. You don't want a bright color. So I have my color, and I'm going to start using that one. And mine's dim, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the dimmer color here. This is the color. And always try a smidge on your painting and see if it works, because it looks different on a plate and on a painting, especially because we're adding on a black background. So I'm going to start adding with my medium brush, vertical brush strokes onto my rocks. You see, they're transparent, they're messy, and that's what I want. That's a good thing. I am doing this intentionally. You see, I'm not covering my black solid. I want to see my black through. I intentionally put it first. I didn't put it to fully cover it up. So this brush stroking. And I'm going to do the same brush stroking as on the other side, on that cliff on the other side. So right here. And if you guys are doing your sides, don't forget to go on your sides as well. You want to have your sides nice and finished, so add the same thing onto the edge of your canvas. Okay, and now I'm going to go on to this area. So bear with me, guys. This is interesting what we're going to do there. It's going to be very similar technique. You're going to use the exact same brush and exact same paint. You're just going to take a little bit less paint on your brush because you don't want it blobby. So we can imagine that there is a line going through right here. You're not going to put that line on. You're just going to imagine that there is a line here. And then with using your brush strokes and this middle brush, medium brush, you're going to add something that looks like a line. But as you can see, it's not a straight line. It's just the brush strokes that are arranged in a way that they make it look like there is a line there. You don't do this. Put it down and see if it's straight or not. Oh yeah, that looks good and straight to me. I'm sure you guys really close this. And now I will bring this down, not all the way. You want to have some untouched area right here, but you want to bring it down a bit. So those are the rocks that are behind our little waterfalls. So we just continue adding those brush strokes here and there. Some places you can go lower, some places you can have less. Transparency is important here. So don't push on your brush hard and don't have too much paint on your brush because you want them nice and transparent. And do you see? I left the bottom untouched. There's still an area that doesn't have any of them. And guys, after we have our first color, we're gonna do the exact same thing, but with our second color. And for our second color, you're just gonna add more white to your first color. So this is my first color. I'm just gonna grab some white, more white, add it to my first color, lighten it up, and I will do the exact same thing again, but with a lighter color. So I have more than one shade of this. So again, I'm gonna start with my heels. And you see, now that you have a couple different shades, it looks way more interesting. Now I'm going to go on to the other side. Good. And I will do the same thing that I did here with my lighter color as well. But again, not as much. You don't want to cover up fully your first color. You still want to see it. You just want to add to it. Awesome, and I am done with this color. I am not going to be using this one anymore, so I will wash off my brush right away. Now guys, notice something here as well. Do you see how my edge is still black? Do you remember the black that I did first? It still keeps the shape of my rocks. But if you got rid of your black completely, if you feel like it looks good without it, that's fine. If you'd like to add it, you can always add it in the end with just a small brush. That's no problem at all. So I will give you guys a couple of minutes when you have it, as always. Let me know that you are ready, and I'll show you next steps. And in the meantime, I'm going to wash my brush, and as soon as you have it, wash off your medium brush as well. Don't keep it with a beige paint, with sandy color paint on it. You want to wash it off before we move on to next color. Awesome, I see two ready, so that is good. Anyone else? All right, awesome. Awesome job, guys. I guess we'll move to next step then. For our next step, we're gonna use green. So you can use a combo of a big brush and a small brush here. I find that certain areas are easier to do with a big brush, certain areas are easier to do with a medium brush. Sorry, not a small brush, medium brush, yes. Yeah, so if you feel like, depending on the size of your brush that you have and the shape of your brush that you have, whichever you think is best, use that one. I'm going to start with a medium one, and then if I would like to switch to bigger one, I'll switch to bigger one as well. And you're going to need two different shades of green. So we're going to start with a darker shade of green, and then we'll move to lighter shade of green. And when I say darker, I don't mean very dark. I mean medium dark. So this is the color that I'm going to use for the first shade. And this is the color I'm going to use for second shade. And this is just yellow with white. So this is our starter. This one is our first shade of green. So you see it's not very dark because you're adding it on top of black. You don't want to make it dark because adding it on top of black will darken it up automatically. So I would say mix medium green. It should go perfect. So I'm going to grab my palette. I'm going to grab my medium brush. And you're going to need yellow, blue, and white for those of you who are mixing. And for those of you who have pre-mixed, good for you. Just grab pre-mixed and use that. So I'm going to grab my yellow, scoop it on the side. If I can find a spot, okay, I'll use this spot. And then I'm going to grab some white, mix it in, and some blue. That should give me nice, yes, perfect. That's my medium green. That's exactly what it should be. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it and see. If it's not good, oh yeah, I'm going to go darker. So to darken it up, you're not going to add black. Never ever add black to darken up your green. Add blue. So I'm going to take a bit more blue, add it in, and as you can see, it got darker. If you add black, it's going to be dimmer. You don't want it dimmer. You want it darker, but still vibrant and bright. So just take blue and add it. This is perfect. So now, using just a touch of paint on my brush, the same technique that we did our rocks behind the waterfalls, we're going to add a little bit of green. So right here, all along the strip, we're going to add a couple of brush strokes of green here. You choose where they're going to be. There are no particular spots that they have to be in. As long as you have some green in there, it's all good. You can have more green, less green. Totally your call. And after that, I'm going to go onto the tops of my hills and I will dab some green. So using my medium brush, and again, you can switch the brush if medium brush is not your favorite brush for this. I'm going to start dabbing this up and I'm going to go over. You see I'm coming out of the lines. I'm coming over this edge of black, but only on top. As I go to the sides, I'm not going to do that. But as I go on top, I want to make it look like this greenery is growing and it's really fluffy and bushy on top. And I'm going to bring it a bit down. Not all the way, just in certain spots. And now I will add a greenery a little bit here and there. Choose a couple spots on your rocks and add this greenery. I'll let it right here. I'll assume that something is growing here. And I'll add something here. Something is growing here as well. So good, I have some greenery. And now we'll do pretty much the same thing on this one. The only thing different is going to be the positioning of my green. So again, I'm going to start on top and I'll make it nice and fluffy. And then I will bring it down here. And I'll let a little spot right here. Good, this is more than enough green for my rocks. No more green. And guys, I know this is a lot of layering in this painting. This painting is literally made out of layering upon layering upon layering upon layering. It's a lot of steps, so if you feel like you would like to have a bit more time for every step, I would say just watch for the recording, because recording you can pause at any time and give yourself enough time for every single step. Or you can go back on this live video, just scroll back and rewatch certain areas if you need to. That is totally fine. So now, just to Repeat myself, we have some green here along that strip. We have greenery growing on top of our both rocks. And choose a couple spots and add greenery there as well. And now I'm going to move on to the trees. Do you remember these black things that we have? We're going to green them up. But we're not going to start from the bottom. The bottom is going to stay black. We're going to start from the top. Here, you can either continue using a medium brush or you can switch to larger brush. Larger brush, you will be able to do it fast. And again, if you have a fan brush is absolutely perfect for this. So for those of you who have fan brush, just do this with a fan brush. And it will give you absolutely gorgeous tops of your trees. That's what fan brush is made for. It's perfect for the trees. Again, I'm not going to be using it because it's not fair. We didn't warn you to prepare a fan brush, but if by any chance you do, use it. So I'm going to grab my green and I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to try to make them as fluffy and transparent as possible. You don't want to have it blobby. So I'm starting somewhere in the middle first to have that as more solid area, and then I go closer to the bottom. It's going to get a bit more transparent, as you can see here. And as I go closer to the top, it's going to be a bit more transparent too. And feel free to go further than your black. Wherever your black ends, you want to go above that with your green. You don't want to end your green where your black ends. Go higher, but make sure you don't go too low with this. You want to still have a bit of straight black right above this rocky line. And this is the same almost dry brushing technique. When you only use the amount of paint that you need, don't use any more than that. Use just enough. Ta-da! The tops of my trees are ready. Now this is coming beautifully. It's getting brighter and brighter, and this is good because at the one point when we had so much black, it looked super dim and kind of depressing and unhappy. And this is a very beautiful and bright painting once we're done. It's going to have a lot of color. So once you have the top, we're going to add the same color first layer on the grass, because right now grass is just black and we don't want it black. We want a beautiful, colorful grass. So I'm going to refill my brush with the same color paint, and using the top edge of my medium brush, I'm going to start brush stroking, flicking my grass from the bottom up. And again, you can adjust and use different brush. If this brush doesn't work for you and you have another brush that works better, go for it. You don't have to stick with the brush that I'm suggesting. This is the brush that works for me. Grab the brush that works for you. Okay, so now my grass has a first layer of green. Wonderful. Now I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do this. And as always, when you have it, give me thumbs up. And then I'll show you our second layer of green. Oh, bless me again. Okay, so I'll fix my side too. Oh, and I forgot the greenery going on the side here, so I'm going to fix that as well quickly. Okay guys, and now I'm going to start adding my second layer of green. So for the second layer, I'm going to make green that is lighter. How I'm going to do this? I'm just going to grab more yellow and more white and add it to the same green I just used. And that's how I'm going to make it lighter. Do you see the difference? Big difference. And with the second color, I will do pretty much the same thing, except there's one thing I'm not going to do with it. And that one thing is I'm not going to add any of this lighter color on this strip. So that's where we are not adding lighter green. But tops of the trees, yes. Greenery on rocks, yes. And grass on the bottom, yes. So I'm going to start on the greenery on the rocks, just a little bit. You don't have to have as much of it as you had all your base green. Just a bit is more than enough. If you would like to have a lot of it, that's totally fine too. It's personal preference. I'm not adding much of it. And if you're doing your sides, don't forget about them as well. You might want to add a brushstroke or two onto your edges. And then I'm going to go on tops of my trees. And we'll add some in certain areas. And again, it doesn't have to be even at all. This is nature, none of it is even, so it's fine. Don't worry about it being uneven. In this case, that might be really good, actually. Okay, and that's all for the top. Now just the grass. And pretty much the same thing that I did with my first layer, I will do with my second layer. With that lighter green, I'm going to flick some grass from the bottom up. And again, you don't have to cover up all your existing grass, just add to it. Guys, don't forget about your sides. Remember, we started with sides. If you are doing your sides, if you're not doing your sides, no problem. But if you are doing your edges, don't forget to add this color onto the edges as well. Awesome, this is pretty good. I am happy with it. I will give you guys a minute to do this, and then I will show you the next steps. And of course, as soon as you have this, wash off your medium brush. You don't want paint to dry on it. You want it nice and clean. Okay guys, and now we're gonna grab our small brush. So the tiniest brush that you have and a tiny touch of black paint. I usually prefer to water down my black paint for it. I find that my small brush does nicer lines if my paint is slightly watered down. It doesn't have to be very watered down, just slightly watered down is perfect. And we will add a couple of branches here. So I'm gonna flick all of them from the bottom up because wherever you start is gonna be the thickest point, and then you wanna have nice pointy ends. So I'm gonna just add a few of those first. Some of them can be longer, some of them can be shorter. And now I will flick some branches out of those branches. So again, always from the branch out, because wherever you start is going to be the thickest, and you want the thickest point to be where your branch connects to the main branch or main tree trunk. Now they actually look like trees in the distance. They don't look just like green fluffs. They look like trees because you can see some branches, some tree trunks. And again, use the finest brush that you have. The finer, the better. If you have a brush that looks like 3 pieces of hair, that's perfect. You want that one. And then right away, wash off your brush. And we will move to a different color. So as soon as you have it, wash off your small brush, put it aside, and we're gonna move to our medium brush and white paint. I'm gonna give you guys a second to do this. No rush, and then I will show you next step in white and with medium brush. And again, guys, remember, if you can only stay that long today and you didn't get a chance to finish, or your paint dries slower than mine, and that's holding you back, no problem. This video is going to be up on our Facebook page for a couple weeks, for about 2 weeks. And after that, we're going to delete it from Facebook and we will move it to YouTube, where it's going to stay forever. So if you didn't get a chance, well, maybe not forever, but for a very, very, very long time. So if you didn't get a chance to finish it today, no problem. You will get a chance to do that. Okay, guys, I am moving to my white. So I'm going to grab my medium brush, wash it off really well, and then dry it on your paper towel or on your cloth really well as well. You want to use dry brush for next step. Just make sure you brush nice and dry. And then you're going to take white, but not a lot of white. What I would usually do sometimes, actually not usually, sometimes, I'll do this. I will take some white, and if I take too much white, I'm going to dry it up on a cloth or a paper towel, dab it up before I go onto my canvas. I don't want to go with a blobby white. And once you have a perfect amount, we're gonna start adding our waterfalls. So don't push on your brush hard and don't have too much paint. That's two goals here. Don't push hard, don't have too much paint. Little bit of paint, lightly scraping over the surface of your canvas. And I'm gonna start with the one that's kind of in the middle. You see, because I'm so lightly touching my canvas and I only have a touch of paint on my brush, it comes out really transparent. I'm adding these brush strokes that look like flowing water. I'm going to show you guys really close here for a second. You see, it looks like flowing water because of the transparency of the brush strokes. That's the goal here. You want it nice and transparent. And that can only happen if you don't have too much paint and you only lightly touching your canvas. So I have one waterfall. Now I'm going to add another one right here. And I'll add one small one right here. And you see, as I went on the side, my angle slightly switched. It's a bit curved towards the side. This one is straight because it's right in the middle. The ones that are on this side, slightly curved. The top is slightly curved. And this one, the one on this side is going to be slightly curved towards the other side as well. But just slightly. You don't want to have a half circle there. I'll add my last one right here. Okay, I have my waterfalls, and now I'm gonna add the splatter on the bottom. So again, using the same brush, just a tiny touch of white paint. We're gonna lightly, very, very lightly dab here. Now, if you feel like it's turning out too brush strokey, while it's wet, grab your finger and do this. Your finger is a perfect tool to create a mist here. So again, if you can do it with just brush, good for you. Do it with just brush. If you need a finger assistance, no problem. And you can have more of it or less of it. It's totally fine. Just a personal preference. If you want a lot, go for it. If you want just a bit, that's fine too. Okay, I'm happy with this. No more mists for me. This is more than enough. Now, using the same brush and white, while I'm still using it, I'm going to do a couple more things. And one of those things is I'm going to add just a touch of white highlight on my rocks, not on all of them. And again, very lightly, you don't want it blobby. So just choose a few spots. That's too much white. Let's make a bit less white. Choose a few spots and add a white highlight. And I'm going to add a bit of that white highlight on this top part. And after that, I am washing my medium brush and I'm putting it away. I will go back to my small brush. And I'll grab my small brush and a tiny, tiny dot of white. And with this, I will add a few highlights on my water. So right here, again, make those lines as small as you can. If they're thick, that's okay. It's not going to ruin it. But if you can get them thin, that would be best. So I added one right here. And I will add one more onto this. So on the bottom of this rock right here. And then wash off your small brush right away. Okay guys, couple more things. We're on a final last few steps here. We still have our flamingo to go, but we're almost done with everything else. So let's finish it up. And for last step for our backdrop here, we're gonna need yellow mixed with white. So just a little bit of yellow mixed with a touch of white. You're not gonna need much of it. So I'm gonna use whatever leftover yellow I have here. I will take a little bit of white, add it in. That should be perfect. Okay, I have this yellow mixed with white. You see it's pretty light. Now I'm going to start dabbing. I'm going to go on tops of my trees first, and I will dab over those branches. Remember those pretty branches that we added? I'm going to dab over them. Again, very lightly, that's important. Very lightly, with just a touch of paint on your brush, lightly dabbing, not pushing hard on your brush. And you don't need much of it, you can just have it touch. And I will add the same touch of this color to the greenery on my rocks. Again, not a lot, just a little bit. More than enough. Show you this closer. And after that, I am done with my medium brush. Or at least for now. Maybe I'll use it for flowers, but maybe not. And after this, what are we gonna do? We're gonna add flamingo, and then we'll go crazy with all the flowers on the bottom here. You can add any flowers that you want. The more flowers you add, the better. The more colors you add, the better. Then here you can go absolutely cray-cray on colors and flowers. Because the more the better. The more colorful, the better. But first we're gonna make our flamingo. For our flamingo, you're gonna need a small brush and you're gonna need a couple different colors. So we're gonna mix this darker coral color first, and then whenever we're ready for it, we're gonna grab lighter version and we'll use lighter version of that as well. So you only mix it once and then you add a bit more white. So you don't have to mix two completely different colors. So how do we mix our coral? You're gonna need a red, you're gonna need yellow, and you're gonna need white. And you're gonna start with a base of red. So you're gonna scoop some red, put it on the side. I'm gonna use this pink spot because it should be good for me to mix. After this, I'm gonna grab yellow and white and mix it in. So touch of white, touch of yellow, mix it and make sure no blue gets into this color. If there is any blue that accidentally gets into it, it's gonna ruin it. So make sure no blue gets into it. Just yellow, red, and white. And continue adding little by little of those colors. Start with the base of red or pink, and little by little add yellow and white until you get to the right shade. Let me see. Oh yes, this is good. Let me show you my color close. That is the color I'm going to be using. And again, as I mentioned before, my camera doesn't pick up all the shades. It is bright, crazy bright in real life. So that's the color I'm going to start with. It's something between orange and pink. That's what it looks like. It's like a very saturated peach color. And guys, I'm going to do my flamingo here right away, but what I would suggest, again, because this video is available to you, is going to be available to you for a very long time, what you could do, don't go straight on your canvas. Don't take chances. Or if you want to go straight on the canvas, grab a pencil. Grab a pencil, do all of this with a pencil first. That way, if you don't like something, you can erase it and redo it. It's going to be very hard for you to fix it if you make mistakes with paint. Or what you could do, you can put a practice flamingo on a separate piece of paper or on the back of your canvas if you want to practice there, or on your palette. So practice, do one first somewhere else before you go on your canvas. And then just rewind this video and watch over this area again, or wait until the recording is done, which we're almost there, and then go back to it and rewatch the section with the flamingo and then put it on your canvas. Don't go on your canvas right away. Don't take chances. So our flamingo, what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the body. Let me show you this one first. You see there's a body here? So I'm going to start with the body. I'm going to put a half circle, just like a half circle. After that, out of that half circle, I'm going to put a line. It's like a hook. I want to make a hook. After that, I will add head and a beak, and then feathers, legs, and rework those very simple primitive shapes into a flamingo body. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start by putting half circle, and I will add it somewhere around here. You don't want to add it too low because then you run out of space for the legs, but you don't want to add it too high either. Unless you want to, you could add it too high actually, never mind. Because then legs can end here and your flamingo is just going to be walking in the water. That's fine. Just don't add it too low. So half circle. You can color it in right away too, that's fine. And it doesn't have to be perfect shape. The shape is fixable. We just need a base right now. That's my base. Now I'm going to add an S-hook here. Something that looks like S-hook. And after that, I'm gonna make this a head. So I'm gonna make it bigger. It's gonna look like a snake for a second. You see what I mean? It looks like a snake, but that's okay. It will get better. This is just the base. After this, I'm gonna add a beak. Flamingo has a big beak. Now, I'm gonna rework this and connect my neck to my body properly. So I'm gonna make this bigger just to get the right connection. Now you rework it and you bring it to the right shape. And now I'm gonna add some feathers right here. And here is the base for our flamingo. It doesn't have the legs yet, but it will have the legs, I promise. Once you have the flamingo base, then you're gonna add the legs. And again, you're gonna use small brush. And using the small brush, we're gonna add the legs. We will start with a straight leg, so you can put just one straight line somewhere right here. And you're gonna make it slightly thicker on top. Right here. Okay, and then we're gonna add a second leg. So second leg is gonna be not straight, definitely not straight. It's gonna go from here to here, and then to here, and then like this. And guys, another thing, I noticed that even on my phone, joining as a participant, I, for some reason, for the longest time, only seeing in chat that it says that certain people are watching, but I don't see any actual comments. So I'm not sure if everyone's just real busy painting. That's why nobody's commenting with any questions, or something is wrong with Facebook and it's not showing me the actual comments. But if you guys commented something and I didn't respond to you, please don't think that I'm ignoring you. I really don't see it. Yeah, feel free to ask again and hopefully it will show it to me. Or everyone's just really busy. That's totally fine too, no problem. So we have our base for flamingo. This is good. Now I'm gonna grab the same color and white paint and mix it up and make light version of it. So white paint, same peachy orangey color. For those of you who maybe didn't hear me the first time when I mixed the color, that was pink, the base of red or pink, and then little by little you add yellow and white until you get to the right color and then you stop. So don't add more right away, a lot right away. Just little by little continue adding yellow and white. And now to lighten it up, you just take a bit of that and add some white to it. And with this lighter color, we're gonna add a little highlight. We're gonna start on a neck, head, and a neck, a little highlight. And then we're gonna add some feathers, of course. After this, you're gonna grab just a tiny touch. You're gonna wash off your brush Then you're gonna grab just a tiny touch of black on your brush. And with the black, we're gonna add some black to the beak right here. And we're gonna add a bit of darkness underneath the head here. Then on the bottom of the feathers, right here. The finer the lines, the better here. You want to have as fine of the lines as you can get them. So take your time on this. No, don't rush through it. If you add too thick of a lines, that's going to make your bird very cartoony. So try to have really fine lines. And then we're going to add some on the legs as well. And after that, we're going to add some white. Again, on our birds. You're going to wash off your small brush again. You'll take some straight white. And with the straight white, you will add highlight onto the beak. It's going to be a lot of white on our beak. Then we're going to add an eye because it's very important for a flamingo to be able to see. And then if you want to, you can add just a touch of highlight onto the feathers. But again, not too much. Don't overdo it. Just a little. And only if you want to. And ta-da! Our bird is done. Okay. And what is left for us now? Let's see the difference. Compare this and that. What is the difference? The difference is flowers. Whole bunch of flowers. So now, let me show you this one. Do you see how I have all colors? And some of them are actual flowers, like those, for example. Do you see they're bigger and they're actually shaped like a flowers? And some of them are just dabs and some of them are just dots. So you can do mix and match. And if you have a particular shape of flower you have in mind, go for it. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start with a medium brush here. So I will wash off my small brush. And I'll switch to my medium brush here. And choose any color. Let's start with orange, just because why not? Orange is yellow and red and a touch of white. So I'm going to start with that color. I'm going to grab a bit of orange, my medium brush, and I'm going to do dab, dab, dab. Dab it up a bit. Again, guys, wherever your imagination takes you on these flowers, all good. The more the better, and the brighter the better. Some dabs, awesome. Happy with this. Some here. On the other side, yes, why not? On the other side. Now let's switch the color. Let's go with redder. A bit of that. This is like a tropical paradise, so don't be shy with flowers. Okay, I have a few of those. Now let's go with even darker red. Get a couple of those. Awesome. Now, I'm going to switch to small brush and I will start adding flowers that actually look like flowers. And I will start with some pink ones. So I'm going to make some pink, which is just white and red, or if you already have pink, even better. And those flowers that look like flowers are going to be flicks from the outside in. So let me show you a couple spots. You see I'm just flicking from the outside in. And as I mentioned before, go crazy. The more the merrier. Use any colors that you can find on your palette. Pink ones. Now let's add some other colors. Go with the yellow. Let's add some yellow ones. And let's add a couple dots as well. Okay, let's add some purple ones. My brush. For those who don't know, purple is red and blue and white. Or if you have pink, pink is actually better to mix purple instead of red. So that's pink and touch of blue and white. And we'll add a couple of those. Add a couple that's sticking out here. And those are just dabs. Dab, dab, dab. And the flower is ready. A couple of those. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna finish up with a couple dots and it should be good. I don't want to be adding any more. I have a lot, but again, the more the merrier, guys. I'm not gonna limit you to what you can and cannot add. Anything that you can think of, you can and should add it. All kinds of dots and flowers and dabs. More the better. And once you have that, the only thing that will be left for you is to sign it with your name wherever you want to. Probably not where there's so much going on already, but choose a spot where there's not too much going on yet. And if you guys haven't done your sides, which I have, I've finished my edges as we went. If you haven't done that, you could go back and color match and just guess what it would look like on the edge and just make it look like you wrap the image around your canvas. Or if you want it easier, grab one color present on this paint. So you could go with green and just do all the edges green, or you can go with the black. Black is a universally good color for the edges. You can just take black and paint all the edges with black and it will look fantastic as well. And it will make all those colors up front really pop. Now, as I mentioned before, this video is gonna stay up for a couple weeks on Facebook, and then we're gonna move it to YouTube. So you're gonna have enough time to complete it, even if you don't have time today or maybe you're trying to squeeze in as much fun activities as possible because it's the end of summer, don't worry, you will have a chance to paint this whenever you're ready for it. Now guys, if you enjoyed painting with me and you want to say thank you, you can do that in chat. If you want to say thank you through tipping me, I would never say no to that. These events are free and there's absolutely no obligation for you to tip me. But if you would like to do that, there is a PayPal and e-transfer option, and all tips are always welcome and very much so appreciated. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this painting. I hope you guys had fun. My phone just died, so I'm not going to be able to check comments. I'm glad it died now. I'm glad it didn't die earlier, and I was able to check comments through the session. But yes, I wouldn't be able to check comments yet until I finish, and then I will go back and check comments. If you would like to show us how it turned out and you want to show us and everyone else your painting, feel free to take a photo, and you can post it either in comments to this video, or you can post it in comments on event page. Wherever you would like, we would love to see it. And I'm sure we're not the only ones. I'm sure everyone else would love to see how it turned out too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Enjoy your night. Bye, guys.